Hello everyone, I have some very exciting news for all 7 Symmetra mains out there. We knew her rework was coming, but now the details of it have finally been confirmed. In fact, she is already on the PTR with her 2 brand new abilities and some tweaks ready for testing. And testing is what I have done. So let's go over them, analyze them, and see where I think this will leave Symmetra. TLDR, in a much better place, my word. So first off, she has now got 2 ultimates. That's already very exciting. And honestly, the other really exciting thing is they've really emphasized and gone out their way to just make her feel better to play. You know, more fun, less kind of hit and miss. So for example, to achieve that, they've given her 6 turrets when you start instead of 3. This is just nice because it means you can immediately run out and get your full powered nest. It makes her more of a threat from the gate opening. It's not gonna make crazy waves, but it just feels a lot more fun to be able to evil 6 turrets and ready in your lair. I think Symmetra got bit by a vampire or something, I don't know, some fanfic somewhere. But yeah, that is just really nice. And another big quality of life is her teleporter has a load more health, and it has regenerating shields as well, so you can't even just whittle it down. In fact, it now takes 1.5-ish tracer clips to kill, which is a load of damage, and this is fantastic for the character, because so often you place the teleporter, someone finds it, and a half second after the teleporter under attack warning is played, the teleporter is destroyed. And yeah, you could have hidden it better, but you want to feel like you have a chance to go, oh, it's under attack, I will go try and defend it. You know, you want that time, that counterplay opportunity. It's a big thing in game design, in competitive player versus player games. You need to give counterplay opportunities or it just feels lame and weak. And they have now given that with the teleporter. You can no longer do what I do all the time against enemy Symmetras and just kamikaze their turret, ignore the enemy team, get shot at, just kill the teleporter in the couple seconds it takes to kill me and completely ruin the Symmetra's day. It's really quite tanky. And then finally, for quality of life, they've also extended the range that her beam can lock on. This is just nice. It lets her be a little bit more of a threat if you get a little bit too close to her. But obviously, we want to talk about the 2 big meaty changes. And the first one of them is her new other ultimate, the shield generator. So instead of placing the teleporter, you press Q again, switch to the shield generator, and build it much the same way. This is fantastic thematically and lore-wise because it's another way of using her hard-light architect prowess and technology. This also lets her apply shields to people now that she's lost her measly, I'm gonna give you 25 shields, yay, what a fun ability, oh my god. Yeah, but I should probably tell you what it does before I tell you why it's good, eh? Haha, I'm just excited and backwards. That's what my parents always told me. So, in a huge area, this thing will apply 75 shields to all allies who walk near it, once per life. And by near it, I mean kind of vaguely on the map, because the area that it applies to allies is huge, and it ignores line of sights and walls, and lets her have a much more impactful ability that offers a lot of gameplay choice. So basically, this just gives her a lot more utility, and it very much boils down to, if you're on the first point, you probably want your teleporter, if you're on the second point, you probably want your shield generator, and by that point, bringing an extra 75 health per person per life permanently until it's found and destroyed is going to be a headache for the enemy team. That is so potent, and over time, that extra damage the enemy team will have to keep doing is going to add up so much, and it's going to make Symmetra so irritating. And honestly, I think finding the shield generator is probably going to be more important than finding a teleporter. That's how strong it is. And yeah, it might step on Lucio's toes a little bit if it was a stronger shield, but I think 75 is fair. Having 400 burst shields as a specific now counter is definitely still very different and needed compared to just a consistent 75 reapplying, so I really don't think they need too much comparison. The cool thing is, though, Lucio did get his barrier technology from Symmetra's company, so it's kind of neat that they both have some sort of shield generating application now in a much more meaningful way than her Poxy 25. And by the way, for reference, this is where you get shields from. That's how far away. That is insane. It really is good. And then her other new ability, and for me the much more exciting one, is Photon Barrier. You use it, and then in the direction you are looking, you will project an elliptical barrier akin to Reinhardt's that will keep moving and traveling at about the same speed that your average character walks until the turret-looking white sphere in the center collides with something, or of course the shield is destroyed via damage. This is an exceptional ability. So let's talk numbers first. It took about 4.5 tracer clips to kill the shield, which puts it at about 1080 health, so roughly half a Reinhardt. But because of its relative speed at which it travels, you can actually cover more distance running behind this while a Bastion fires at you than you can hiding behind a Reinhardt that's walking while a Bastion's firing at you. So that's very, very cool. It will generally obey the contour of the land, but the rule of thumb is that the white projecting thing in the center wants to stay at the height that you fired it. So if it goes up a slope, it will continue off into the air. Also, the shield will stay as long as the white thing doesn't collide with a wall or any kind of physical thing. So you can slot it through doors, and the actual size of the barrier will just phase through the walls and go with it. So you can have some really cool trick shots and putting it in these positions, and really this is what this is excellent for, causing a bit of a disruption, making the enemy team react in a way they didn't want to have to. Imagine your team surge pushing behind this barrier as it's being powered forward to getting to the enemy team without taking too much fire and executing a close range strategy. Imagine firing this in front of a payload so you can push it with a moving shield in front, giving it cover so you can set up static defenses on the payload. I mean, yeah, static defenses on the payload aren't great, but that would be a lot of fun, and definitely the shield part would be useful. It could encourage Mei to be picked in order to just wall it off and make it so that the barrier is wasted if it starts being a very effective payload pushing strategy, which I could actually see it being. But the key here is it forces your opponents to react quite heavily to something. Hell, you can fire it and do nothing with it just because you can't ignore it just in case it does get used to push onto you. You've got to monitor the shield, you've got to get rid of it so someone can't use it as the excellent mobile cover that it is. It really makes the enemies think, and also lets the Symmetra player do so many different tactical decisions. You can cover your supports with this as they move around the battlefield. You can section things off. You can cut the enemy team in half and make them all commit to either being on one side of the shield and falling back with it, or all powering through the shield and kind of forcing them into a more aggressive stance and situation that you can then take advantage of. Basically, this is a I'm a make the enemy make a mistake machine, and that is awesome for Symmetra. I love this ability. It has so much potential. So basically, what all of this does is really reinforce Symmetra, not so much as a support hero. She still should probably be in defense, but that's fine. It reinforces her as the premier disruptor. She messes with your opponent's positioning. She forces them to move in accordance with how her shield is moving forward. She forces them to split up in search with her teleporter and shield generator being down. She forces them to avoid areas with her turrets. She forces them to avoid close quarters because of her beams. She forces them to avoid corners because of her spam orb. She is now there to fuck with what your opponent plans to do. She denies. She says, no, you will go over here, you will react as we want you to. She really messes with the enemy team's plans. And as an architect, having control of the plans, well, that's pretty damn good. So I'm very excited to see how she plays out. I think she's going to become a really cool, fun character that has expanded on its initial teleporter first point niche, which she still has, but now she grows into this much more area denial, area control, disruption category that's going to make her up there with Mei in terms of to play against, and I think, you know what, Symmetra deserves her time as that kind of character. I'm excited to play the new one properly. Let me know what you guys think of her, like if you've enjoyed this, and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.